Don't. Boom, boom. You know, Matt, I saw it. Hey, by the way, welcome to Market Vitals, the stream. Miss Trade, Matt Davio, HFR, Bob. Let's make Bob's great again. Heffernan, streaming live. Matt, my favorite thing on Twitter today was, did you see the share of the dude playing the banjo and the fox running out from underneath the porch and sitting down and watching him play the banjo?
No.
Wildlife, Matt. It's everywhere. It's around us.
I saw the fox running out on the Alabama game. There was a fox like running around in the field somewhere down in the SEC over the last weekend. There was a fox that finally made its way up into the stands from the field and then ran right up, gate 23. I was like, whoa.
Get out of here.
Yeah, it was crazy.
There's a fox in the hen house.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we talked about it yesterday, and I wanted to bring in photographic evidence, Ventura, the evidence of Rudolph here, a menace in the neighborhood, Christmas lights. I'm not sure you can see it. Might need to zoom in, but fully Christmas lighted up as he took somebody's decorations down. I like this guy, by the way, because he's like, what the fuck are you doing with Christmas lights up before Thanksgiving? That's not allowed.
And God, he obviously found some good berries, whatever, wherever those things were hanging on. He found some food that was more important than he didn't care about getting his rack wrapped with those, horrible Ace Hardware lights.
I am long Christmas light futures as this deer is still at large in the neighborhood. All right, man, let's get it out of the way. NCAA men's basketball has commenced play. This was not a score from last year, no?
No, this is last night's game.
First game or second game, or was this their first game?
First game, first official game.
The Buffs of Buffalo, they got most of their team returning, yeah?
No, they don't. They only have they have Dickinson, the big man, who had like 27, 28 points. They got Eli Brooks. They have another guard, but they lost Wagner. They lost a lot of.
They have a Fab Five. They have a Fab Two.
They were literally, I think, in the top 5 recruiting again. So they have, Juwan has really done a heck of a job bringing in talent. They got a transfer. They got a Terrence, this new forward that scored, 17, 18 points last night. They're going to be good.
And what are their odds to win it all?
Well, I was looking at it this morning, and I didn't really get necessarily an odd sheet, but here's what I found for you. This was an article just recently. Gonzaga's at 6-1. They're number 1. Tier 2, they got the Purdue Boilermakers 14-1 and UCLA 12-1, right? And then you have below that, you got Michigan, Villanova, Kentucky, Kansas, kind of all in that same area, 12-1. Yeah, put $100 on Michigan. Why not? I think it's
why wouldn't you?
They've been there every year. Kentucky played Duke. I think Duke handled them yesterday. Kansas played Michigan State. Kansas beat Michigan State. Michigan State's not ranked, but that's dangerous. I kind of like Michigan State with whatever their odds might be, because they're not showing up here. I bet you they're 25-50-1. I like Michigan State with the odds, quite honestly. Never bet against the Izzone. The guy is still one of the best, if not the best, coaches of our generation. He's a great coach.
Matt, it is Veterans Day, and we will get to corn, beans, and wheat, and we have another whole sidetrack on that. Violent trading in the grains today, Matt. But Veterans Day, of course, we're all grateful. I'm particularly grateful for veterans. But I think Kyle Bass said it best here on the Twittersphere. And he said, it is the soldier, not the reporter, who gives us freedom of press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who gives us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who gives us freedom to demonstrate. So many attacks on so many things that we thought were just completely infallible in the U.S. of A. Under fire. And it's nice to see Kyle is so eloquent and just an incredible advocate for our true adversaries, advocating for realization of our adversaries, i.e. China. Anyway, I wanted to bring it up. Thank you, veterans. Thank you. All right, Matt, let's talk data first, though. And you shared this graphic, and let me get out of the way. Watch this. Every minute of every day, this much data is driven on the social platform du jour. There's a lot of talk about the metaverse. There's not a lot of talk about how we will just be a plug-in to some sort of data device. And I'm sticking with my hard no on the metaverse, Matt, because it doesn't take very long to do some research and see how bad outcomes are for people that spend too much time on any one of these platforms. And sometimes a minute is too long. We talked about Twitter yesterday and went to some price discovery around it.
How about the TikTok number? That's the one that stands out to me. It's boggling. And then what's boggling, I guess, about it to me, Bob, is Snapchat is only using 2 million and TikTok is 85x Snapchat. So that in my opinion, that should be, TikTok does not trade publicly. At least I don't even think it does in China.
Does the CCP trade publicly?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, I think it's Tencent that might even. I don't know. I don't even know who owns them anymore. Is all I'm saying. So it might be.
And I saw also, Matt, that Armstrong. I saw the article today. You said as the news is a couple of days old that Google found guilty in the EU for whatever they did wrong. Matt, I'm not sure what it was. I think it was something about antitrust, placing their ads above everybody else's when they're supposed to be a free and clear platform. Anyway, $2.8 billion fine. Trust us, though, Matt. So I don't. You pick one of them.
Whether or not they ever pay it, I can't tell you. You know that too. So who knows? But I want to bring up the one chart that kind of, they had the earnings recently, and it kind of showed what we saw there. That Snapchat, if you believe that those numbers there, it's dying compared to where the people are going on video. Again, there's only so much time you can spend. You can't spend 2 hours on Snapchat, 2 hours on TikTok, 2 hours on Twitter. Like if you're into any of these, like for any amount of time, there's your day. So the metaverse is real already, Bob. So whether you want to accept it or not, you're already in it. Shit, you watched a movie on Amazon last night, so you ate up some data yourself. And you paid for that right. So
I certainly did. I watched the new James Bond movie, and I don't want to be a spoiler, but man, did I not see the ending of that coming. Holy smokerinos.
Yeah. Speaking of mushrooms.
Can you smoke mushrooms, by the way?
Speaking of mushrooms, just some further, data on the subject that seems to be playing out, and then we'll bring up the chart. But psilocybin found to rapidly improve depressive symptoms, and this has been an ongoing study that we've talked about.
Not only that, I mean, you want to be depressed, go on a social platform for more than 3 minutes.
Yeah, spend your day on one of those things, exactly. But I find this interesting that the positivity that continues to come out of such things. It's interesting because I think there's proof in the pudding, and I mean they've even said this is like a one-time thing. So I wonder how big pharma benefits from this, because it's not.
No, they don't. They want to shut this down. Are you kidding me?
This is the important point. Like this is like, if you truly want to help people that are clinically depressed, all these pills that people take for this stuff eventually don't work because you stop taking them, or there's a
you don't like the side effects.
Side effects is what I hear that people just go crazy over. Whether it's ED or all the different other variations of you can't you're bloated, et cetera, whatever. So this is interesting because the studies are showing that one session with your therapist, your MD, under professional care, is taking care of PTSD, taking care of your depression one time. That's pretty powerful to me. And I would say that we've talked about this a number of times, but when you bring up Compass again. It's the only publicly traded entity, and it's rebounded, I believe, off of this. And we talked about it, right? You could have picked it up this week on the bad sales numbers down here in the 30s. Well, you just had a rally again, and if you bought that, I would suggest on this news lightening up again, because again, you got a 10% move from 30.31 up here to 35 today. So again, just be prudent with your trades. It is just a trade if you're trading. Now, if you're in for the long haul, again, that was a good area to pick some up for the long haul.
Even if you're in it for the long haul and it goes back to like 42, that top end of the profile, how are you not taking some money?
Right. Well, again, we talked about this, so I just want to bring that up. And then, coming back to your issue there on all the platforms, and finishing on the subject of Snap, because again, we talked about that, and again, they just had earnings, but this chart to me, just let's look at it a little closer, if you don't mind, Bob, because I think what you're going to see here is, as that cannibalization goes on from TikTok, when this thing falls below 50 again, and it will. It's not when, or rather it's when, it's not if. When it falls below 50, it's going to probably, move quite quickly, possibly down to the $20 range. And ultimately, again, do you need TikTok and Snapchat? I don't think so.
I don't need either.
I don't need. I don't have either. Only Snapchat. My kids send me stuff occasionally, but other than that, that's the only reason I'm on it. I don't use it.
Well, we're going to make going outside great again.
I hope so.
Matt, speaking of outside,
my Gen Z daughter is outside all the time. I mean, that's the one thing I got to say, that she's healthy that way.
Speaking of outside, and speaking of the grain market, Charlie Kirk saying, keep your eyes on synthetic fertilizer shortage. How are we going to grow food without fertilizer? What good is farmland with no fertilizer? We are 9 meals away from anarchy. This is a coming crisis no one is talking about. Vicious day in the grains today. Let me bring up corn quick, just to show the viciousness of the trade. Man, because I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, it's up. Let me go down to a shorter time frame here. But they spent the morning rallying it, and they gave it all back and settling right back here in the middle. Longer term, we've talked about grains fairly often. If we go out to the daily, this thing has just been violent here. This run up, this run down, it's just kind of sitting here in the middle. And for me, it's a coin flip right now in corn. And again, man, this is a highly leveraged contract. I don't believe they have any micros in corn, wheat, or beans. I could be wrong on that. But it is a big boys game, and it is moving at big boy paces. But the other thing about fertilizer, and we want to talk about, is there's fertilizer stocks that you can own, and higher prices should benefit fertilizer. I mean, they're going to pass whatever gets going. If there's higher demand, higher prices, they pass that on. I don't think it's detrimental, particularly long term, for these fertilizer companies. So let's take a look at them. The ones that we came up with, CF Industries.
We've got four names that we came up with, Bob, and let's go through them. CF Industries is actually doing very well. This is a 4-hour chart. You can see very bullish. Again, if you're not involved, look for dips back to, we're trading 64. If I could start picking it up at 45, which was just recently here in August, that would be a good area long term. But this again looks very strong. NTR is another one that again, very upward sloping. This is going back to, again, the low of put in March when we were at 25. We're trading 69 right now. High was just put in, looks like on the earnings, good earnings on NTR. They were expecting, they were estimating 122. They reported 135. So good surprise upside there. And look at that sales upside, almost $250 million extra added on this quarter. So to your point, that price increase, I'm sure that they're passing on to the farmers and the growers, is showing up there. Reported revenues, $5.6 billion, which is, again, here's one that this makes sense. This is we'll call it a $22 billion a year sales organization, and the market cap's only $39 billion. I mean, if the Reddit bros want to get on something that's valuated, properly and still pays you almost a 3% dividend, here it is. This is a stock you want to own, right? This is a stock you want to own. It's not that expensive to me. And even at these prices, SMG, I like this story even better because it's
I do too. That's the one that jumped out at me because it is so far away from its all-time highs. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but it also just pulled back here to 145. Again, we're a week late from a 20% rally, right? But that happened already. I would probably buy some here. It looks to be breaking out finally, and I would buy on the dips. Again, as long as 140 holds, that looks solid to me. Again, paying a 1.5% dividend ish. And, they just had earnings. That's what spiked this up. So yes, this one was great. Again, this is why we go through this means
exercise.
Right? Exercise. Yes. Thank you. Because you have to have these stocks and you have to be aware of what the fertilizer companies are before the earnings, before this news hits. Right. And then look at the charts and find the ones that make sense. This one still makes sense. On a valuation product, they all make sense. And then MOS has had a little pullback, Mosaic having a little pullback here, but again, just came out with earnings and that's why that sold off. So maybe if you can pick this up near $30, that would be a nice little pickup down in there if you could get back in there. But it might have just blown off here and it's going to continue higher. I'm not sure, Bob, but again, only a $13 billion valuation on this company. Overall market cap, and they're doing, again, this is like 1-to-1 sales to market cap. Totally different than the tech side of things, right? I mean, think about that's why we go through this exercise, just to expose a simple piece to look at fundamentals. It's just looking at sales versus market cap. That's all it is, right? It's a little different than PE. I like it better because it gives you an idea of what the company can do in volumes. Like Tesla can't get anywhere near its market cap, and that's why I said earlier this week, you have to think that 1250 lid is in now, and I don't think we'll ever see that high again on Tesla. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right on, Matt. Right on. Yes, you can. Well, what can I do, Lee? We got chirping from the gallery.
Well, we talked about it yesterday. One of the things I think you could do is we talked about it. Oil and gas.
We talked that gas yesterday with how it had been smeared, schmeezed, and a polar vortex coming both to Europe and to the U.S. North America.
If you bought that 490 yesterday, I'm going to bring it up. But if you bought that 490, I mean, there was no. Again, winter is coming, regardless of what anybody says. It's coming, and natural gas looks like it finally made that round yesterday. And again, if you bought it yesterday, great. That's even better. You picked it up down here at 470. Today, if you bought it at 490, it's already up to 509. So this is the front month. This contract expires in less than 2 weeks now. So be careful with that also, and be aware of that. You don't want to have propane delivered to your door.
You need a hub.
There is a delivery side there. So, and then the next one goes out through the end of December, which is the January contract. So these have really weird schedules, the natural gas. You really need to pay attention. And I would not recommend you trade natural gas unless you really know what you're doing.
Another big boy game. Big boy games. Games people play, Matt.
But look at this, Bob. It gets above 510 and this thing is going to shoot again. I mean, and why wouldn't it? Again, winter is coming. Why wouldn't it?
All right, Matt. We got a quick show today, but I wanted to circle back and talk about something here, because it's amazing, man. How often do we have a conversation about something, right? And the next day or 2 days later, you see something in the news, because we had this exact conversation yesterday. And this was the Vikings coach says vaccinated player went to ER due to COVID complications. We don't know if that's either COVID or the jab. And it's very serious stuff. And the reason why I bring that up, because our conversation was yesterday, did you see the article out of Germany? And let me bring up the tweet that I first saw it from. And this was German news agency compiles a list of 75 European athletes who have died suddenly in the past 5 months since being fully vaccinated. And my thought was, how is this not in our sports coverage? Like, I've reached out to Mike Tirico and to Drew Brees and to let's even throw Terry Bradshaw in there. Like, you are reporters now, right? And maybe you're supposed to be investigative journalists. this seems like
especially if you're making opinions on vax, no vax. Like if you're going to throw that out there, you better know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And so I'm like, wow, 75 people, that seems like a lot. But as a trader, Matt, you're a trader, you hear something and you don't immediately form an opinion because you have no way. What's the reference? What's the reference rate? What am I looking at? So if you go to the article, and that's right here, as young as 13 years old, a long list of, and let me just scroll down. And here's the line here. This list goes back to 1889 and at first glance is extensive. But in the end, it turns out that about 5 to 8 such deaths were recorded, even in disaster years. And many of these concerning heart problems. So in a normal year, you got 5 to 8 deaths, but they've had 75 in the last 5 months. And my point to you was, this shit goes nuclear if you're watching an NFL game, an NBA game, an NHL game, and somebody drops over like we've seen happen in rugby and in soccer, in Europe especially. It hasn't happened yet, but we talked about it yesterday, and then this tweet comes out today. It's way more serious.
Or a ref,
apparently.
or a coach, anybody associated with the team, a water boy, right? Seriously, like, the water boy goes down at 18, who's got his jab, and he has a heart attack. That's news. That's real.
Anyway, Mike Tirico, please do some investigation. Tell me to shut up, that I don't know what I'm talking about. Drew Brees, please tell me about your obligation to your team, again, with this as the backdrop of the story. Is that what is your obligation? Maybe his obligation is first and foremost, and I've always said this, your obligation first and foremost is to you and your family. First and foremost, forget the team. There's no team. The family's first, right? Your health, your ability to provide for your family is number one. Obligation to your team. Hey, Drew, go fuck yourself. All right. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, another story for another day, Matt. But this story's not going away.
I got to throw this one up just to bring some humor back into it. But, I don't know if you saw this today, but
there's no words. There's no. Oh my! Build back Biden. I think that's what should be the new thing. Build back Biden, not build back better.
Build back broker. Build back broker, baby.
Build back Biden. Anyway, Matt, that's what we got. Please be careful out there trading. Please join us at marketvitals.io. Please share and retweet the broadcast.
Build back Brandon. Build back Brandon.
Build back Brandon. And that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, anything else you want to cover chart-wise? Anything else jumping out? We continue, Matt, to roll over a little bit here in these.
Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, nat gas is through the roof right now, and I'm excited that I picked some up yesterday. I'm taking some off because it's such a huge move. I mean, you can't. Again, when you have moves like these and you happen to catch a bottom like we just did, I mean, you gotta be wise and you gotta be smart, because it's like a 4% move today. But this is how that thing moves, right? This is how it moves. It went from 575 and now it's up to 512. 475 up to 512. I mean, that's a 10% move in a day. So I have a rule: 10% a day, 20% a week. I start pulling off chunks. And the bonds, I think, being closed today is a reason why, Bob, that we are kind of hanging around here. The market's kind of chopping. I think what we saw overnight, matter of fact, if you look at a 4-hour chart on any of the SPOOs and all the indices, they're all the same. Now that they've kind of rolled over the last few days, what we had a reflexive rally back to kind of the area where we should have. In all the indices, from the SPOOs at 60, 46.60 was that number for me. So we went down to 46.25, and now we got back 35, 40 points, and that's it. And the NASDAQ again went down to 15,900, and it jumped back to 15 or 16.1. So that's 200, which is almost, not quite, but almost a 50% retrace in all of these. That's the area where I would resell, and I did sell them already this morning. I've already taken off up, and we're trading that range. And I think that range is just in play now as we grind into the end of the week with the banks closed and the bonds not trading like they normally do. I think that's kind of, I don't like this holiday. I don't like the veterans holiday now that it's kind of put a stop. I mean, stocks are trading and bonds are trading, but not with the normal volume on a Thursday. So
right on. Let me point one other thing out too. As the price discovery, and this is micro S&Ps, it's an evolving story, right? And so we've closed out of that up momentum level. As a standard deviation trader, that's a sign of weak. That is less strength. That's a sign of weakness, right? That's an absence of strength that had been there for this whole run. The second nail in the coffin of this rally will be if they can't regain that momentum level and we trade sideways and trade lower and we change this. I've said it before, you got to change the slope of those lines, those standard deviation lines. Once those slopes change, that's a different story. All right. And it's, if you look at the chart over time, slope is key. And so that will be, and that's an evolving story. I don't know if those slopes are going to change. I can't predict that. I'm leaning more towards that now that we've closed out of up momentum. So that's what I'm continuing to watch now going forward is the slope of these standard deviation lines on whatever time frame you want to be looking at. But that's key here for the longer term story.
I agree.
Agreed to disagree. All right, man. What else? Anything else?
No, like I said, it's kind of quiet. You're not seeing any real big, stories happening today. Bitcoin's down again, 69 back to 65. But again, nothing really stands out there for me. The other thing we should talk about is Beyond Meat got racked again on the news. And it did break kind of another trend line. So I could throw that up real quick just so you could see it. But this thing is full on bearish. I mean, there's really nothing good to say about it, but it broke another 20%. It has actually come back today. I mean, if you look at the intraday, it's gone from the pre-market 75-ish up here to 82. So might be time to, if you didn't exit on the bottom, might be time to exit on your puke if you were long up there. But this thing to me looks like, and again, like we said, once 94 fails, and it did post earnings, and it closed right there. So if you were banking on good earnings to be long, well, that didn't work out. So I frankly would not have been long into earnings for this name the way it was trending. So, but I wasn't short either. Not involved. All right, man. And then I think the other one that's interesting to me, Bob, is Disney was, had earnings.
Oh, that's right. Disney Plus, HBO Plus, Disney minus.
Disney got slaughtered. Hulu numbers were down, not down, but they're barely growing. I mean, at some point, there's only so many people that you can get to pay the $70 a month. But, and again, I think when you look at, for the live Hulu, when you look at the Disney chart, it's not pretty. That was not a good break. And it took out all these lows, including this one from back here, first of the year. So Disney is now red for the year. Harbinger for the future, I don't know. But again, this should easily trade down to 150. We're at 163.30 right now.
All right, man.
So those were kind of the earnings debacles that I saw. There's not, as far as what was running up. Again, Ether has not.
Matt, you know what one I wanted you to take a look at is Crocs, because that Crocs of shit actually has been rallying again. Yep. And maybe a place for you to investigate selling some out of the money calls here. I mean, as we go into winter, who's wearing Crocs?
Yeah, well,
long nat gas, short Crocs.
It's up here near the high, 183 post earnings. They had, we talked about these a week ago. So yeah, I would say, this is probably going to run its course here. The momentum and the wind is at its back year end, I would just say, right? I mean, again, back in March, this thing was barely breathing at $9. So it's gone up 20x. And it's, again, this is worth more than those fertilizer companies. That's all we got.
You say we're going to have to eat Crocs?
You're going to have to eat Crocs eventually.
Oh, Crocs now with more protein.
Somebody's going to have to eat them.
Did you hear it? Crocs now with more protein than a Beyond Meat burger.
That's right.
Eat your Crocs. All right, Matt. Thank you so much. Eat your Crocs. Oh, Matt, by the way, tonight we got the Dolphins and Baltimore. What's the line in the game? And tomorrow I'm going to share my cheater barbecued baby back rib recipe that we will make in under an hour and 10 minutes. Start to finish. We're going to put me on the clock.
All right.
70 minutes from wrapper to table.
We have the Ravens minus 7.5 at Miami playing the Dolphins. So there you go.
Home dog?
Home dog.
Home
7.5. And you know, Miami won a game last week. That was only their second. They're not that bad for a 2-17, but that seems like a sucker bet for the Dolphins. I think you got to go just my gut. Again.
No, this is what we do, man. This is a perfect setup, by the way, right?
Yeah.
You don't go into this game expecting neither team to score a touchdown, right? And so if the Ravens score first and that line goes out to 13 or 14,
or 10 even.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the way we've been looking at these things.
Yeah.
Like, you don't sit down.
If the Dolphins score for us and it goes to 2 or 3, I'm taking the Ravens for sure.
Absolutely. That's how we do it.
And I don't really see anything great there. And then coming into the early, let me look at the, I don't think we've got Bills again, double digit. I think that's going to be a solid double digit bet this week. What else?
We double up on that one because we lost on them last week.
I mean, truly, especially against the Jaguars. That's crazy. And the Jets, by the way, the plus money, you're talking money line is 460. 460.
And what's the other side of it? How bad are they raping you on the middle?
Minus 660.
So it's
currently minus
$12 on a $400 bet.
And currently minus 12. It is at the Jets. So the Bills have to travel from Lake Erie down to the jungle of Manhattan. And then the Lions, again, are minus 8.5 against the Steelers. They might as well make it the Steelers all the way there. And what's the other big plus money line? And that's about it. That's the biggest money line that's on the board this week so far is the Jets plus 460. So, you know, you put $10 on the Bills and you put $1 on the Jets money line. That covers yourself.
There you go. Bada bing.
Bada bing.
All right, man, thank you so much.
Cost you 11 to, most likely make 18 or so.
And then put any number of zeros on top of that you want, that you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, whatever your number is.
Whatever your number is.
Uh-huh.
Don't ever bet on the Jets. Broadway Joe has left the building 4 decades ago.
5. Jeez.
5 decades ago.
Almost 6. Let's be honest. 6.
Oh my God. They had bubble helmets, the bubble ear helmets still. A few guys were still rocking those.
With the one.
The ones that helmet fits so shitty that you could actually spin it on your head. If you didn't have your chin strap on, the helmet could just go right around.
By the way, I found out this year I am a flyer for the hockey league. I'm on the Flyers. So with that much we know. First game is next Thursday if you're looking for some comedy.
I'm going to come out and live stream a bit of the game. Avio into the boards. Nobody hit him. He's down. Oh, awesome. All right, Matt, you have a great day.
Go Flyers.
Right on.